Hello, wedding wanderers. My name is Assumpta, and welcome to another episode of Ave Creations TV Vlogmas Edition. This is a home for busy professionals who want to plan a timeless, sophisticated, and unforgettable wedding celebration or special event. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are talking unplugged weddings. What is an unplugged wedding, I hear you say? If you want to find out more, then stick around. Let me begin by defining it for you. An unplugged wedding or ceremony, it could be any part of your day. Sometimes people just have them for their ceremonies, more about that later, is when you ask your guests, your friends and your family to basically unplug, to put their devices down. So that means their mobile phones, their DSLR cameras or any sort of camera, I'm not sure why it's specified, or God forbid, their iPads. I have seen way too many of those at weddings. You ask them to put them all down and be fully present at your day. I'm going to go through the pros and cons of having an unplugged wedding, ceremony or reception. So here we go. The first pro is that your pictures will not be crowded by people leaning over in the aisle or just getting in the way, or their phones, their actual devices, will not end up in your photographer's images. Some people don't have a problem with this, some people do. I personally, for my own wedding, was one of those people who didn't want that in my ceremony shots. I didn't mind so much for my reception. Didn't really happen, but I'll explain more about that later. Another pro is that your friends and family are fully present for whatever is happening, whether it is your ceremony or your reception. They are paying attention to what's going on in front of them as opposed to looking at their devices or trying to capture the best shot that they can. Another pro is that images you haven't personally seen or vetted don't end up on social media. Some people have a problem with that, some people don't. Or the other issue around that would be images don't end up on social media before you want them to. Maybe you don't have a problem with people posting at the end of the day. You might just not want it to happen in real time. All those things can be eliminated if you tell everybody to just put their phones down or their cameras or their iPads. Moving on to the cons. If you don't allow people to take pictures at your ceremony or your reception, that means that when you wake up after your wedding and you want to scroll through social media and see some images from the day, there won't be any. If you're having a wedding hashtag, if you are having social media at your wedding, it means that when you finally come out of your haze the next day, you can click on your hashtag and see all the images from your wedding, which is super fun. My couples tend to have a lot of fun doing that the next day. I had a lot of fun doing that after our weddings, and it enables you to see the day through your guest's eyes, which is my next point. A con is that you will not see the guest experience, or you will not see the day through your guest's viewpoint because you won't see their images because they weren't allowed to take any. One way to get around that is to maybe have an unplugged ceremony and then allow people to use their devices for your reception. It's up to you. Another con is that not all of the guests will comply. You have to brace yourself, depending on how large your wedding is going to be and how considerate your friends and family are. You might need to brace yourself for the fact that not everybody will comply. Funny story. I've not actually worked on an unplugged wedding. None of my couples have requested that of their friends and family yet. But I, at my own wedding, did want an unplugged ceremony. We had a Catholic church ceremony and I just didn't want loads of people focused on their phones. I didn't necessarily want to see people's phones when I was walking down the aisle to the altar. So I mentioned it was actually in our programs so that people would know, be reminded of it on the day. I asked the priest to say something, which I think he did. But when I was walking down the aisle, I will put a picture here for you to see. Guess what I saw? It did irritate me slightly when I looked back, but on the day, it didn't occur to me. Or rather it did, but it just quickly washed over me because I was more focused on my future. What was at the end of the aisle? My husband. But yeah, if you're really particular about it, then maybe you might want to ram it home, have a giant sign that lets people know it's unplugged. That was where I dropped the ball. There wasn't a big sign. I just composed, I custom wrote a poem for our order of service, and it was the first thing once you open the page to let people know that I didn't want them filming during the wedding or taking pictures. They didn't listen, but that's okay. We've moved on from there. But if it's a really big deal to you, there are different ways to share this point, which I will address right at the end. But let me give you the last con. So the last point of asking people to unplug during your wedding ceremony or maybe your whole wedding day is that some people will get offended and possibly be a bit angry because nobody wants to be dictated to, and they may want to take pictures for their own personal collection or to share with friends and family who weren't able to attend. Going back to the point of being able to see friends and family's pictures the next morning of your wedding, which is also quite fun, if you don't have that, you are going to have to wait until your photographer edits some images for you, even if they are kind enough to do some preview images, as a lot of photographers do. As a lot of photographers do nowadays. You may get a small selection of images a week or a few days after your wedding, or a few weeks before you get your full album, however many weeks or months that you've discussed later. People may want something to look at in real time or to post like the next day. Even if they are willing to wait for you to share professional pictures with them, not everybody wants to share their professional images. So those are the pros and cons of having an unplugged wedding or ceremony. I personally am team unplugged for a ceremony, but not necessarily for the wedding reception, because that's super fun. And I want people to be able to take pictures. I had a black tie wedding. I loved being able to see people's outfits before my professional images were delivered to me. And I think it's really fun. The thing I don't necessarily love that I've seen at my clients' weddings and also weddings that I have attended as a guest is when people are on the dance floor with their phones in the air, dancing to their phones. I get it. It was more prevalent in the Snapchat age. Having said that, now with Instagram stories, people like to show other people that they're having fun. I don't mind when it's done for a few seconds, but when it's constant, it's a bit strange to me, and it means that all your pictures are just people like this. And I personally didn't want pictures like that. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Our DJ was so amazing that people just put their phones down and had a good time. And also, most of my friends aren't really into social media like that, but in case you do have friends and family who are very much into social media, you may want to implement this. And I am going to tell you 5 ways in which you can do that. So the first way is to write it clearly on your invitation so people know from the beginning. As soon as they receive an invitation to your wedding, they know it is going to be unplugged. The second way would be to put it clearly on your wedding website in all of the communication you'll be sending out, or if you send a final email out with details just before the actual wedding day, remind them that it is an unplugged wedding or an unplugged ceremony, so they know to leave their devices in their bags. The third way is to create signage at your actual ceremony or on your wedding day, depending on which part you're having unplugged, and make them large so people can see them, preferably more than one, especially if you are having a larger wedding. And then the fourth way, which is what I did, is to print them in the order of service so that people can see it right in front of them as the ceremony is about to begin. And then the fifth way, very effective, is to let your pastor, priest, rabbi, imam, officiant, celebrant, whoever is celebrating your marriage, to let your guests know before you come down the aisle that you don't want people to take pictures and or upload them or the rest of it. Get them to let the guests know and really hammer it home what your wishes are. And that's it. I hope that helps. Let me know if you are having an unplugged ceremony, if you've ever attended an unplugged ceremony, how you felt about it. Are you half and half? Which side of the fence do you sit on? If this is your first time here and you enjoyed this video, then please like it and ensure that you subscribe. ensure that you subscribe so that you can see when I upload more videos. Hit the notification bell if you actually want to be notified. That would be fun. This is video number 10 in my Vlogmas series of my 12 days of Christmas. So we've got 2 more to go. I thought I'd be a bit festive today with this top because other parts of my house are Christmassy. Maybe I'll do one by the Christmas tree, who knows. Anyway, I hope you've been enjoying the video so far. Like I said, if you are new around here, maybe check out some other videos, and I will see you tomorrow for day 11, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye guys.